welcome. I'm Dara O Briain and this is School of Hard Sums, this country's premier maths-based entertainment format. We're trying to put to bed the age-old debate. Can maths really solve everyday problems better than wading in and getting your hands dirty? This show is a battle of brain versus brawn. I'll attempt to solve these problems with my numeracy skills, while my guests will rely on brute force, some common sense, and possibly sneaking off to the toilet to look things up on their phone. There'll be 3 of these puzzles set by Oxford professor Marcus du Sautoy, and there's a bunch of maths students present to keep us on track. Plus, we'll be tackling a question posed by a School of Hard Sums fan. So let battle commence. And here are my opponents for this evening: Kevin Bridges and Peter Serafinowicz. Gentlemen, a pleasure to have you here. Welcome. And both first-time attendees at the School of Hard Sums. Are you a big maths person, big numbers person? A gambler, for example, sports person?
I'm a football fan. I actually missed my maths exam at school to go to a football match.
What was the match?
It was Celtic against Porto in the UEFA Cup final in 2003.
And was it worth it?
No, we get beat, so I was on the flight home just facing life in a call centre because I'd missed my exam.
All right, football trivia. What player from the Celtic squad, mid-80s, studied maths and statistics at Glasgow University?
Pele?
No, not Pele.
That's the only footballer I know, so...
Mid-80s?
Yep.
I was born 86, so that's my excuse.
Brian McClare.
I never knew that.
I
was at his testimonial. There we go.
There you are now. And at no point did you go, well, at least he's got the maths and statistics to fall back on.
We were more celebrating his football career, but I'm sure there's a couple of people there.
yeah, exactly.
Man knows his sums.
Well, you said Pele. Actually, Roberto Carlos, another Brazilian, did an amazing piece of maths. Do you remember the free kick against Barthez?
Le Tournoi.
It was just miles... Yeah, exactly. It was miles away from the goal. Barthez, like, there's no way this is going to go in. But the ball flies almost into the stand and then right at the last minute swings into the goal. Yeah. In fact, he was using the transformation...
A remote control.
He was using a remote control. No, he was using a bit of maths, actually, because there's a sort of a transition point where the turbulence behind the ball goes from chaotic to very regular, and that completely changes the behaviour of the ball. And so Roberto Carlos, obviously, I mean, I don't think he sat down and solved the Navier-Stokes equations, but he'd clearly been experimenting with what can happen to a ball.
It's just a fluid mechanics question.
It is, yeah.
You kick the ball drags the air around it.
Yeah.
Which
but at high speed, it's not a big drag. It drops below a critical speed, which the drag suddenly becomes laminar, and then the spin can take into effect, and that's why it went into the goal at a very late stage.
I think that's what the commentator said at the time.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
That's laminar? I feel kind of nervous actually having you on this, because this is...
Why?
I'm just saying. This is a genuine popular science programme, and you have destroyed all popular science programmes because you made Look Around You, which is one of the finest, possibly the finest mock popular science programme, wherever. Look Around You.
Maths stands for Mathematical Antitelharsic Halfatum Septomen. We use maths at almost every point of the day, whether we're working out how to thread our shoelaces, calculating the optimal moment at which to embark upon a conversation, or, if you can fly, planning your trajectory for the journey to work.
A fair amount of love came through and Look Around You.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, that was all because we were shown these very spooky educational programmes that didn't really... The people who made them didn't quite know how to educate kids. There was no room for entertainment in those old shows. But I've always been fascinated by maths, and I saw a documentary once about those and trying to almost literally get your head around the idea of, like, 7- and 8-dimensional shapes and...
Which brings us on to problem 1.
Please tell me that we're doing this. Are we not doing...
We won't be constructing 8-dimensional shapes in our first problem.
Do we have a team?
No, we do, actually. It's Maths and 2 Veg, how maths can help you eat better. So we're going to be constructing in our first problem a kebab.
Is it an 8-dimensional kebab?
It is an 8-dimensional kebab. In fact, that's the challenge, is how big a dimensional kebab can you make? So we're going to start you off with some small ones, 2, 3, 4-dimensional, and see whether we can get you to make an 8-dimensional kebab.
To be honest, many of the kebabs I've eaten seem as if they're only intersecting our reality. And passing through our dimensions before disappearing into another dimension. It's been quite impressive.
Yeah, let's go and see our 8 vegetables, and I'll set you the actual challenge. So the challenge is you've got to put on the vegetables such that, for example, between 2 green peppers, there'll only be 1 other vegetable, because the green has number 1 on it. But between 2 mushrooms, you have to have 2 different vegetables between those, because they're numbered with the number 2. So according to the number on the vegetable, you have to have that many vegetables between each of those 2 vegetables.
I mean, for example, right, I can't put a pepper next to that. There has to be something between it.
There has to be one between.
Yeah, it has to be 1 vegetable.
Okay.
So
if I put that in, I have to put this, like, 2 vegetables on, which means I've got to put something else here.
Yeah.
I see.
There.
Okay.
So actually, you've already proved, for example, that you can't make one of these kebabs, and they're called a Langford kebab,
right, with
this special mathematical condition.
Right.
You can't do it with 2 vegetables, because you need a 3rd vegetable in there to satisfy the condition. There've got to be 2 vegetables between the 2 mushrooms.
So using these vegetables numbered 1 to 8, we must build the biggest kebab that we can. We can only use 2 of each type, and the number of vegetables between each pair must match exactly the number written on the pair itself. So 1 vegetable between the green peppers, 2 between the mushrooms, 3 between the onions, and so on.
Why is it called a Langford kebab?
Because Langford was this guy who was playing with his kid, and the kid was playing with coloured blocks, and suddenly
The kid was playing with skewers.
Suddenly saw that the kid had arranged them in a way so the coloured blocks had numbers on them, and he'd arranged them such that the number of blocks between any 2 blocks was the same as the number on the blocks.
OK, so in other words, that would be a Langford kebab.
You've made a Langford kebab, a 3-dimensional Langford kebab.
Fabulous. So,
boys, can you get a 4-dimensional?
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Is it essential to have the ones?
If you've got the ones, you know you've got to just stick 1 thing between those. Yeah. So for the 4-dimensional one, you've got to use 2 peppers, 2 mushrooms, 2 onions, and 2 red peppers.
Dara's pretty much done it.
I've gone up to 4.
Can I check it? 1, 2, 3, 4.
So hang on, 1, 2. So
we need just to say, Dara has banked a 4-dimensional one, so he's managed to get 4, and he's going for the 5. So we've got to get you. So let's just go for the 4 one to start with. I would say don't try and make it too complicated. Try and get. So let's get the vegetables. So you've got the onions.
Yeah.
Give us a couple of peppers, because we need 2 green peppers.
Sorry, what do you want, green? There you go.
Yeah.
What number's the green? The 1?
Yeah.
This is not right, is it?
That's fine.
Yes, good.
This can't be.
I think you're back to your 3 one, aren't you? Because you stuck that on the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's sort of wrong.
No, that's fine. Put the green pepper back and then put this on the end.
Yeah.
That's 3.
So that's your 3-dimensional one.
Yep.
But you've got no room for your.
Just need to get a pepper
peppers.
on there.
I see.
Maybe take one of the greens out.
OK. Well, look, if we've got to get a pepper in, a 4, why don't we start with the 4, because we know that's what we...
Yeah, it's a good strategy.
Thanks, Marcus. OK.
You've got to get this red one in. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, yeah, I've got to get the red one in, yeah.
That goes on there.
5. We got 5, yeah. We got 5 here.
Have you got a 5 one, Darren?
We got a 5. I got a 5 one here.
That'd be rather extraordinary.
So we've got an onion on there.
Yeah.
Hang on.
It's impossible to make a 5.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, wait. What did I show down earlier? Was it 4?
You've shown a 4 one.
Between the reds here.
OK, I'm going to call time on this.
OK.
So, actually, you managed a 3-dimensional one, but, Dara, you shifted into...
I got a 4 at one stage.
Yeah, so students, you managed to get 4, but... Yeah. Actually, 5 is impossible, interestingly.
Impossible, right.
You can prove combinatorially that 5 and 6 are impossible. The next possible is 7. But let me show you, I've got a massive skewer over here.
So you can only have small, medium, then extra large.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Interestingly, you can always make a kebab, provided the number of vegetables, when you divide it by 4, either has remainder 3 or 0. So if it's divisible by 4, like 8, you can do it. Or if it's 7, has remainder 3 on division by 4, you can always do it. And there's an algorithm which enables you to make the kebab. So shall I have a go at this?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, step
so
in.
I think Sorry. So you need to start. So we're going to make an 8-dimensional kebab. So I start with half the number, so that's 4, and I go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then, well, the 4's got to go here, because I've got 4 vegetables there. So I'm going to go 4 there. The 5, I'm going to leave a space there, because I'm going to fill that one later. So I go space 5, space 6. So here we go. Yep. Space 7.
Space 8.
Space 8.
Delightful.
Great. So now I'm going to go from this end. So actually, how many vegetables I've got left? I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 I'm going to have to do. So I'm going to put a 2 there, and the 2 will then go there. I've got 3. There's my 3. 3 here, and a 3 here. And then a 1 and 1 here.
Nice.
So there is your 8-dimensional kebab for
Fantastic, well done.
Fantastic. Very impressive. Wow, very impressive.
You can find arrangements for 3 and 4 vegetable Langford kebabs, but the 5 and 6 vegetable versions are impossible. It turns out a Langford kebab is only possible if the number of vegetables is divisible by 4 or leaves a remainder of 3 when divided by 4. So both 7 and 8 vegetables are doable, 9 and 10 are impossible, then 11 and 12 are possible again. For these larger kebabs, there are too many options to use trial and error. You need a method. So start with a halfway number, which for 8 vegetables will be 4. Then next to it, count up to vegetables 5, 6, 7 and 8. Then leave gaps as you position the other halves of their pairs where they need to go. Starting at the far end, you can now work back down, easily filling these gaps with the smaller numbered pairs.
So I think that round does go to Dara because you managed to get up to 4. So
would you eat that?
Point. Not now.
So you don't have to do the Glasgow thing of going, it's vegetables.
It's part of your 8 a year.
Yes. Join us after the break where the team will tackle a real-life problem proposed not by our very own Marcus du Sautoy, but by a School of Hard Sums viewer. We'll see you then. Welcome back to Dara O Briain's School of Hard Sums, in which I use my mathematical skills to take on 2 comedians in a classic confrontation of brain versus brawn. Later on, we'll be attempting to solve more problems set by Marcus du Sautoy. But first, we'll try to give answers to some everyday dilemmas submitted by you, the viewers, in a part of the show we call Dear School of Hard Sums. Let's take a look at the first question.
Hi Dara, I'm Julia, I'm 31, I'm from Caerphilly and I'm single. I'm on the lookout for a man. How do I maximise my chance of finding the perfect guy?
Well, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
She has to sleep with as many men as possible.
Yeah, in some sense, you're right that you just need to get some data to start working on to find...
You need to get some guys to date her.
Very good.
Thanks, there is a mathematical strategy she could apply. It's something called optimal stopping. If you think about the number of men that she might meet in her lifetime, she's got to come up with a strategy that's going to get her, hopefully, the best one.
Yeah.
In fact, we can apply a bit of mathematics to prove that you need to see 37%, which is actually 1 over E, where E is kind of like the second best number in maths after pi. So 37%, if you see that amount of men, and then after that you choose the next man that beats all the one you've seen up to that point.
Hang on, sorry, 37% of how many men?
Of the total that you might date. But it's actually the same as when you're looking for a flat. You know, you go and see a flat and then... But it's very rare that you can go back and see it once you start seeing new flats because they go quickly. So what point do you say, OK, well, you know, you don't want to buy the first flat you see. You don't want to go out and marry the first girl or boy that you go out with because there's probably something better.
Yeah. So basically it's a question of how much of the population should you test out before you then go, right, I have enough basic core data here, so that the thing to do now would be to pick the next good one that comes along.
Yeah, and I would say she's at a pretty optimal age, 31. She's probably seen about, done 37%.
Make any judgment on the nice lady who sent us a question. So basically you're saying, however, that she should sleep with 37% of the male population of Caerphilly.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say she's got to see 37% of the men that she's likely to date over her lifetime. And once she's seen that 37%, then to go with a man who beats all the ones that
so
she's
far.
seen up to that point. And that will maximise her possibility of getting the
a strategy
best.
used by often in nature, isn't it? Am I right in saying that?
And mathematics departments.
Yes, but also specific. There are animals that do that. Animals that have a closed population.
I think
stickleback fish are there ones for that.
Stickleback fish?
Yeah,
Oh,
they
right,
do.
okay.
Apparently, yeah, they do that, and they will basically test the waters, and then go for the next mate after that.
There you go.
There are plenty more sticklebacks in the sea. So.
That's not the philosophy within the stickleback community. In the stickleback community, they know exactly how many sticklebacks there are, and that's why they're quite specific about the number of stickleback.
And there are none in the sea because they're freshwater fish.
Oh, OK, fine. Yeah, I have no idea. Let's go on. We've now, having settled that issue for that nice lady.
It's going to be good conversation.
Just tell her 1 over E.
1 over E.
Yeah, 1
That's
over
all,
E.
okay.
That should solve it.
OK, Grant. But what about the questions for us?
All right, we're back to the food theme.
OK.
So this one's all about cheese, and it's a national cheese competition. The competition is finished, and there are 3 fantastic cheeses, and you've got to divide these 3 cheeses equally such that the 4 of us can take home an equal amount of cheese. But you've got to do this challenge with the fewest number of cuts.
Fantastic. Are they all over here?
Yeah.
Lovely. Come on. This is not cheese.
Here's your cheese. You're only allowed to cut 1 cheese at a time, so you can't put them all
I
on
can't
top of
stack
each other.
the cheese.
No,
I think we all...
To help you with this, I'm going to give you a few dimensions as well. So this one is 12 centimetres in diameter.
Right.
This one's 16 centimetres in diameter, and this one's 20 centimetres in diameter.
12, 16 and 20, OK.
Yeah.
So 3 cheeses to be divided into 4 equal portions with the fewest possible number of cuts. All we know is that the diameters of the 3 cheeses are 12 centimetres, 16 centimetres and 20 centimetres, and you can't cut more than 1 cheese at a time.
What kind of cheese is this?
What sort of cheese is this? Let's have a
It looks
smell.
like a brie or a camembert.
Yeah.
See, I prefer Dairy Lee because they've cut it for you.
Oh, they've done all... Yeah, exactly. It's all,
The work's done.
Yeah.
We're getting such an insight
Triangles.
into your diet, by the way.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I don't eat veg, I like Dairy Lee triangles.
So I'm going to
Trust
give
me,
you a
I'm
few...
not judging you, man. I'm not judging you.
I can do it with no cuts at all.
How are you going to do that?
We put them all in the microwave and then pour them into glasses.
So what is the total? You said that's, is it 48?
So it's
3
12,
times 48, is that right?
16 and 20, and that's the diameter.
12, 16 and 20. So
Yeah.
hang on, wait. It's... and between 4 people? Or between 3
Between 4 people. So
Between
4...
4
Yeah, exactly.
people. So that the...
Dara, you seem to
area.
have done a little triangle.
Well, I do, like, I'd call it, interesting. 12, 16 and 20 are interesting numbers because they can be the
are.
different sides of a Pythagoras theorem.
Oh, wow.
Right. So there is some way in which you can... let's see if that's that. There's another one. See?
Beautiful.
Exciting. It's
Yeah.
really lovely, actually.
Yeah, that's an ancient Greek theorem.
The beautiful thing is I just feel I should draw a man waving hello, and it would be like the thing on Voyager. I'm not sure how useful this is.
No, but you have spotted something very... I didn't choose just random numbers.
Yes.
The numbers are important, the way I've chosen them. Which are... Pythagoras' theorem tells you what relationship between those?
It tells us that the square of that and the square of that is equal to the square of that.
Yeah. Yeah, so
There's fewer
exactly.
cuts.
Pythagoras' theorem says the area of that is equal to the sum of those 2 areas.
Yeah.
So that might be...
So hang on, do you just cut this one in half?
Yes, very good.
Is it not just cutting this in half and that has the same area as that?
No, it doesn't, because that's
No,
not
no.
half.
Hang on, no.
Yeah. Good thinking.
Sorry, I mean, this has the same area as that.
No, it doesn't.
Half of this has the same area as that.
OK, well, before we dirty up our lovely clean knives with cheese and try to come up with an answer for this, we're going to take a break.
And later in the show, we'll see whether Kevin and Peter find tonight's big question difficult to swallow.
That's like Nigel Farage's house if he ever gets Alzheimer's.
Welcome back to Derby School of Hard Sums, the programme that pits my brain and mathematical skills against the brawn of 2 fellow comedians, Kevin and Peter.
So we're trying to cut 3 cheeses into 4 equal portions with the fewest possible number of cuts. All we know is that the diameters of the 3 cheeses are 12 centimetres, 16 centimetres and 20 centimetres, and you can't cut more than 1 cheese at a time.
But I think, Peter, you've actually come up with a system which would get it in 3 cuts.
Cut each of them in half,
Yeah.
and then you can build them up to make the same amount, surely.
Yeah, because you've got 1, 2 pieces there which are equal.
Yeah.
Then you take a half of that one and a half of that one. That's another piece which is equal to that half.
Yeah.
So in 3 cuts, you've divided it into 4 equal pieces.
Right.
Do you want to do it? Yeah, do it.
All right.
So one of us is going to take home one of those halves.
Okay, and then one of them... Oh, this is so lovely to cut. It's like, sort of like savoury Turkish delight. It's all powdered on the top.
This isn't some Saturday morning cooking show. You don't actually have to.
So great. So if you...
Okay.
You now know, because Pythagoras, that if you put one of those little halves on top of the middle halves...
Yeah. On top there,
and then the other one on top of there.
All right,
so
so you can
Pythagoras
stack
says
up.
that, yeah, so there you go.
Yeah,
those
that's
are 4 equal portions.
Brilliant.
So you've done it in 3 cuts.
cuts.
But the challenge is, can you do it better? Can you do it in 2 cuts? Certainly the round at the moment is going to Peter and Kevin for
Yes, absolutely.
having got 3 cuts.
I feel a bit bad, Peter and Kevin. It was the man here.
But I think you really helped me on it.
I think I was there for you. I hope you felt...
I was talking to Marcus.
All right, sorry, mate. I hope you felt that at any minute you could have turned to me.
Yeah, I did.
If you put this on top of this, right? Yeah. Because I was thinking you could cut down, around, back out again.
Exactly.
Is that a thing?
But you want to do it, I think, on... I don't think you've chosen the right one.
That on top of that?
Yeah.
Really? That on top of that? Hang on. So what you would do is you would, as if you were cutting down it, but then you go around.
Yeah. You'll see why that works.
So I'm coming at the other side here.
Yeah.
Right, so I should have now a kind of a C shape.
Lovely technique, Dara.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Oh, wait.
It's beautiful.
Then, because that and that is the same as that.
Yes.
Yes, which means I have to use this to achieve the same thing again.
No, you're getting too...
Oh, hang on, I've halved it.
You've halved it.
So I just go like this?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, my God, that's cute.
See, I was going to suggest just putting that one on top of that one and that one on top again. Like that.
Yeah.
Big cut, big cut.
No, but this...
It looks like a
but
cheese wedding cake.
doesn't it?
That's good. That's your 6-cut solution. Here's the 3-cut solution. But Dara, you got a 2-cut solution using Pythagoras' theorem. So and how about students? Did you have nice... Oh, there you go.
Oh, look at this. That's the one thing that is outstanding about students is how well they draw their answers when they've got them.
Well, I'm going to finish anyway.
But yeah, you might as well, yeah.
Yeah, go on. Slice
I'm
the
going to
cheese.
have a little bit of cheese, if that's OK.
Oh, wow. That's actually taking it in an entirely different direction.
Which wedding cake?
Nice.
Oh, wow. That's what surprise that is.
While you're eating your cheese, I will award the round.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Food math seems to be Dara's speciality because second round goes to Mr. O Briain.
Thank you very much.
That's all I do.
The trick here is to spot that 12, 16 and 20 are what's called a Pythagorean triple, i.e. the first 2 numbers squared add up to the third number squared. Because the area of a circle is linked to its radius squared, pi r squared, we know that the area of the cheeses with diameter 12 and 16 is the same size as the area of the cheese with diameter 20. As this biggest cheese is therefore half the total cheese available, we can divide up exactly between 2 of the judges. Stacking the last 2 cheeses on top of each other reveals their difference in size. So whoever gets the smallest cheese should also get half of this difference. Slide that bit off in one cut, add it to the smaller cheese, and we have 2 more equal sized piles for the last 2 judges. So that's how you divide up these 3 circles, fair and square.
This is going well for me on the food questions. Is the third one also a food question?
The third one is also about food. You're organising a catering event at the United Nations, and there are obviously strict protocols you've got to follow. So it's a 5-course meal. And there are 5 different cuisines from around the world. So we've got British, American, Italian, Indian and Chinese. And you've got to arrange these on a 5x5 arrangement of tables, such that no row, no column or any of the diagonals has something from the same cuisine or a course repeated.
Right.
So each row has got to have 1 course and 1 a type of food from each of those 5 different countries. On a 25 grid...
It's like some weird gourmet Sudoku.
Basically, Fudoku.
Yeah.
OK.
It's a new craze.
We got you to actually do this, didn't we? Yeah. Why don't we have a look at that? when we see you actually doing that.
Oh, you're a gentleman, sir. Foods of the world.
Foods of the world, OK.
It's not exactly fresh.
Are these real?
Do you want to try it and see if it's real?
Very cold.
Well, it's a Dave show. It was probably fresh food this time last year.
Foods of the world. We've got different flags. We've got...
Should we try and name
Wales,
the flags?
Afghanistan, Finland, Iceland, of course, and...
I think that's where the food's from.
OK, drink, dessert, main, side, starter. We got 5 of them and 5 countries. Could we add a 6th row of Scottish cuisine?
What would that be? Go on, mate. What is it? Deep fried Mars bar. Ha, ha, ha.
I love this cup of tea with a flag in it. A British flag. That's like Nigel Farage's house if he ever gets Alzheimer's.
Onion bhaji, chicken korma, deep fried balls.
Deep fried balls.
They might have at least gave it an Indian name. Deep fried balls. I mean, that could fit in any country.
Yeah. In Scotland, it could be like a punishment.
Deep.
Do you think we should get changed? This
I've
is
got
some kind of Formula 1 kind of gear.
And just in case we fancy a game of snooker, we've got a waistcoat.
Fantastic.
I always like a game of snooker after I've solved a maths equation, do you? So you're the waiter and I'm the chef.
The waiter, yeah. All right, the waiter, brilliant. OK.
OK.
OK,
Try again.
Oh, hang on. Brilliant.
Much
Let's
better.
go.
Still got a wee...
sorry.
Get that sorted. Perfect.
Brilliant. Let's go.
Let's do this.
May I compliment you on the amount of pixels we needed to cover your genitals? That's very impressive.
They weren't pixels.
Were they really?
No.
They're actually...
It's just what it looks like.
Okay. I'll be fine.
An 8-bit cock.
I'm going to go and have a go at this. I'm going to go and start banging this thing. 5 by 5, can't be repeated.
Yeah, so you...
rows or columns.
Each row must have...
Oh, and
5
diagonals.
Diagonals as well, very good.
So we've got 5 different courses: starter, main, side, dessert and a drink, for each of the 5 different cuisines: British, American, Chinese, Indian and Italian. We must arrange these 25 dishes on a grid of 25 tables so there are no repeats of course or cuisine in any row, column or diagonal.
This is one of my favourite little experiments. So you were laying out tables with dishes, but this is a different sort of table that was used in the 18th, 19th century as a kind of party piece. So I wonder whether you think you can work out what on earth this has got to do with maths.
Normally when you see that happening, it's... The party.
This is how we start all maths parties.
The party's getting going.
This was a kind of little party piece that a guy called Chladni used to do for Napoleon.
It's something to do with the little particles vibrating to do with this bow.
Actually, if you want to hold the bottom...
Right.
And maybe...
OK.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Wow. I love it.
Now, look, you see what's happening? I mean...
Let's get it in a shape.
Yeah. Let's see what the...
So if something's about to appear, do you know, one of them military tests to see if somebody's insane?
Yeah, exactly. So here we've got this... I mean, a real cross shape has sort of started to appear. And
an unhappy face.
A half circle there. If I keep on going, I'll get this sort of shape. So I think we've done pretty well, actually. And the interesting thing is different frequencies produce different symmetrical shapes. So I managed to do one, but Chladni was so good at this that he would perform around Europe, and Napoleon loved this. I mean, he paid him tons of money for producing this. So if you vibrated at different frequencies, you'll get these different shapes.
So it looks like a good party piece.
Yeah, well...
if anybody walked in late, they'd probably be a bit disappointed that it was sugar.
That it was just sugar, but as soon as they saw the symmetry, they'd...
This should be doable. It should be doable. We're going to take a break now. Join us later to see how I get on with my calculations. Have a go yourself, and we'll find out why Kevin and Peter end up doing this.
Diagonals clear. Look, man, you had one job. Glad I don't run a real mathematical restaurant.
Welcome back to Dara O Briain's School of Hard Sums, where I'm parting my workings out on this particular problem set for us by Marcus du Sautoy.
So we've got 5 different courses for each of the 5 different cuisines. We must arrange these 25 dishes on a grid of 25 tables so there are no repeats of course or cuisine in any row, column or diagonal.
Marcus, I know you've got a PhD in maths, but is it still funny writing boobies in a calculator?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good,
that never tires.
That's refreshing
And we
to hear.
start every first-year course by getting them to get their calculators out and writing, yeah. Now, a bit earlier, I think you were doing a bit of Guitar Hero. Exactly.
We played a bit of Guitar Hero. Rocking out, man. It was great that the band got back.
What's interesting is, why did we get you to do that? What you were learning was some pattern sequences, but you didn't realise you were doing that. So, in fact, we're going to get the guitars out. We're going to give you another song to play, which actually you should find this one quite easy because it's sort of somehow in your brain this pattern has already started to form. I'm going to set you another challenge, actually. So a different song, which I'd like you to have a go at, and then I'll explain what on earth this has to do with maths after you've had a go at a Beastie Boys song.
Right.
Great, so I think you can pause there, actually.
How do you pause?
How do you pause?
We don't pause once we stop, mate.
What you did there was actually repeat a pattern that had been in the previous song as well. So although you're playing a completely different song, your brain had already learnt a pattern sequence, a kind of muscular memory. And people have realised that they could use this for a kind of new password system. Because what they realise is most of the passwords you've learned, if somebody tortured you, they could get them out of you. For example, your PIN numbers, or even things like iris, using the iris of your eye, where you can take copies of that. So they were trying to think of some sort of password system. Even you don't really know what the password is that you've learned. And so they realised that when you're playing something like Guitar Hero, and if I give you a whole sequence of things to do during playing some computer game, that your brain actually sort of memorises this such that if you're asked to repeat the pattern, maybe in a completely different context, like a different song, actually your brain is able to access that pattern that you've learned subconsciously. But if I tried to torture you and say, OK, what's your password, you wouldn't be able to tell me.
But won't you need bigger wallets to carry the guitars around in? No, OK, seriously, though, practically, how would that be applied?
So suppose you're going to a high-security base and they need to authenticate that you are really Peter and Kevin. They would hand you 2 guitars and they would say, OK, try and play this. And if you weren't able to riff that sequence of pattern absolutely spot on, they would know that you weren't the real Peter and the Kevin. That's a pattern that only you would have been able to learn.
Fascinating.
And it's a kind of sense, the brain is basically a pattern searcher at heart, which is what mathematics is all about.
Right. OK.
Anyway, I'm going to go and see what Dara's, whether he's got any patterns in his food over there. So I'll go and have a little check and see what's there.
Can you put the Xbox back on?
How's your Fudoku going?
Yep. Right, so that's
the courses, is it?
That's the courses, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we have to...
Yeah, so the courses are all fine.
Yeah.
But you've now got to make sure that none of the cuisines are repeated. So why don't you have cuisines A, B,
C, D, yes.
C, D, E. So now, in a sense, you've done this, which is like a Sudoku.
Yeah.
You've now got to put another Sudoku on top of it.
There's the first course A, that's the first course B, that's the first course C, that's the first course D, that's the first course E. And you've got to make sure that you can fill that out for all these without actually there being any... Yes.
So you've got to put another, what we call, this is a Latin square.
Yeah.
You've got to put another Latin square on
top of that.
With those.
Wow, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Marcus. That's really kind of you. Yeah, let me draw it on the thing and then
Brilliant. So there's your tablet. You can have a little look at what Dara's doing. What you're looking for is a pattern that he can repeat in a different way with the cuisines. So what he's done is you've got the 1 there, and then where is he going to put the 1 next time? He counts 1, 2, 3 along. So 1, 2, 3, puts it there. So next time you go 1, 2, 3. Here we go 1, 2, 3, and here it loops back to here 1, 2, 3.
So there's a different order of numbers if you look at the vertical columns, but it's the same sequence of numbers: 1, 3, 5, 2, 4.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So if he does a similar sort of pattern with the cuisines, he should be there. So this is actually an ancient problem. It goes back to Euler. He was one of the great mathematicians of the 18th century, and he challenged people whether you could do this with, you know, different sizes of grids. You mentioned putting in Scottish cuisine. So if you'd had 6 having Scottish cuisine, so
It's a cheap jibe.
but 6 is interesting because it's actually impossible to do this. If you had 6 cuisines and 6 courses, you could do every single grid except for the 6x6 one. Really weirdly. So that's the kind of thing mathematicians love.
I admire that level of commitment. Because if I never get 6, I think I would attempt 7. I'd just go...
Well, that's... Yeah, I think most people gave up and said, OK, look, maybe... Oh, look, he's put some more on. So let's see whether we can spot the pattern on the cuisines.
Yeah.
He's got...
Yeah, it shifted 2 along.
Is it 2?
Yeah.
A,
yeah.
2 along. So you do cuisines 2 along and courses 3 along. And that actually is, I think, an algorithm which will work. So,
Brilliant.
should we go and see what he's doing?
Yeah.
Go and correct his homework.
Yeah. So, Dara, it looks like you've got a solution here.
It does look like I'm doing that thing. I'm checking it across and checking it up and down and checking it along all the diagonals. Yes.
Do you want to add another cuisine? And another course. You know, 6 cuisines, 6 courses.
6 courses. I don't know. I like the fact that it's 5. 5 is a prime, 6 is not a prime. A 7 cuisine? Could we do a 7 cuisine meal? Could we do a 13 cuisine meal? Could we do whatever?
We'll do that one later.
Thank you. Right, OK. OK, grand. OK, I think I've got something, but that involved loads of sketch. I mean, you had time to play Guitar Hero at one stage during all that. That's how comfortable you were. OK, let's see how you did when you were in the restaurant that day.
So let's just start at one side and see how we go.
What
and we can correct as we go along.
You're the waiter. Fetches, of course.
OK. All right.
That's better. Start in the corners.
We start in the corner.
Yeah.
OK. Now we've got a starter from America.
Right.
OK, British dessert and
A Chinese
side. We've solved a 1/5 of the problem already.
80% to go.
All right, a starter
So anything other than
here.
the main here.
Italian side, a Chinese dessert.
Chinese dessert. We should go diagonal then.
Bearing in mind the rules, and basically fill the bits in and correct any errors as we go. Chinese drink, is that right? Burger. All right. Wait, you've got 2 mains here. Look, man, you had 1 job. American dessert, could we have that? We could, I think. Well, look, I think we've got a problem, which is we've taken into account the major diagonals, but not these minor ones. Because that's what it says, isn't it?
Any row or column or in any diagonal.
OK, so look, we've got 2 starters here. It's OK, man.
When you flip the table.
It's fine.
Right.
I'm just worried about what Sir Alan's going to make of it. Chinese dessert, American thirst-quenching drink.
Chinese main as well.
British drink we could have.
An Indian side.
Indian side. All right.
Because everything else is surrounded.
That's right. That's like the key, isn't it?
A British starter.
OK. So then let's do its opposite number here.
So it's going to be an Italian main, is it? It's going too well. Something's went wrong.
No, it's good. It's good. Indian drink. I'm glad I don't run a real mathematical restaurant.
I think they would sell just pie.
Let's do this one here, right? Indian main.
Chicken korma. That one right there.
This one.
It's got to be China. Watch you don't spill that soup. It's cold. It's got to be a dessert.
It's got to be a dessert, yeah. Fantastic. Look, we're going to do this.
I think we're just going to... We're just teaming ourselves. No!
Oh, OK. Let's work this out again.
Don't panic, don't panic.
Do you know, I saw us opening a franchise of these restaurants, and now... Can this be any other country?
No, that can be an American starter. Right, let's go for one of these tables. See the one just to your left? Can it be a British main?
Yeah, it could be a British main, I think.
So that has got to be a drink. And the only drink left is Chinese. We must have spent over £10 because we get 3 spring rolls.
All right.
I think we're teaming ourselves up here for a massive boot in the balls. It's going about too well. Let's just keep the team spirit. That's what's getting us through.
I'm checking the diagonal. Diagonal's clear. OK.
Yep. Let's put them down together because this could be the big moment.
OK. All right. OK. And our time's up.
If you can figure this out via an equation rather than having the hard props right in front of you, then you've got my respect, big man. But you always did.
You've won my respect.
Okay, that's really impressive.
Yeah, was it satisfying?
Yeah, it was actually, once we got the method. I mean, you had the key, really, which was, I think...
Stop, man.
I think I thought that the best way to do it would be to get the sides right first and then sort of work in. But actually, that ended up causing more problems than it solved. But your brilliant suggestion was to kind of advance diagonally
that makes more
from
sense.
the corner.
Because if you do the sides, you're actually just making assumption,
Yeah.
and you have to row them back. Whereas if this actually, you're working with the information you have.
What you've done is the entire problem in one. Right? And what I think we all did, partly because we didn't listen to the problem when it was explained, I think it'd be safe to say on behalf of all of us which is typical of maths students. We solved one problem, thought we'd done it, and then Marcus said, no, you need a second layer. So we actually did it in 2 stages, which you weren't doing. I don't know if it's easier to do it in 2 stages or it's easier to do in 1 stage.
I think you have some sort of pattern inside your...
but you can see, because, I mean, I kind of hammered it out as if it was like essentially a Sudoku problem. But then you notice that the fact that it is just a straight rotation, as it were. But you've jumped on 3 here, you've jumped on another... Sorry, you jump 2 here, you jump 2 here, you jump another 2, you jump another 2 here, and that kind of shunts them along in a pleasing way. But then when you come in and said, do another, and you're going, well, there must be another rotation. I tried 4 first time, and then I tried 3, and then the 3 just fits, and the 3 sits on top of it, or seems to sit on top of it, very, very neatly.
Yeah, which is actually means that even if I gave you another prime number lot of courses, so if you did 101 different cuisines and 101 different courses, that would work.
You could just
do
lay
that
all of
shifting
these
of
things.
2s and 3s, and it would work beautifully. If you did 6, this wouldn't work. And in fact, it's impossible to lay out 6 cuisines and 6 courses in such a way that you satisfy this rule. It's one of the things that Euler conjectured many years ago when he was laying out cuisine.
I think it was only the Americans that wanted an extra few courses. Everybody else was chuffed with 5.
You were just delighted. They would have had the chow mein. They would have been thrilled with it, and they would have shut up because it's the UN and you don't cause a hassle at the UN.
It was a nice edit job as well. I'm pretty sure we've seen food decomposing the length of time that actually took us.
But I think, so you have a solution written down, haven't you, on a card, which I have checked a bit earlier, and it is, in fact, satisfies all the conditions.
That's very, very impressive.
And Dara, you produced a lovely method, which...
and we
a beautiful explanation.
We have a number.
And students, I mean...
just to show off, students have done it with dice, and then there's one who's done a 13 by 13 version of it.
Well, that's got a lot of respect.
What? Yes. Yeah.
We start with the courses in a grid, which we've labelled 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and move them out of alignment by shunting each row along 3 places. As the courses go off one side of the grid, they pop back on the other side. Next, we put the cuisines in a grid and shunt their rows out of alignment as well. But importantly, these need to be arranged differently compared to the courses. So I moved each row along by 2 instead of 3. Finally, the 2 grids can be overlapped to give the complete solution. My method of shunting by 2 and 3 will work for any prime number grid, but you need to shift by different amounts for different non-prime number grids. Interestingly, a 6 by 6 grid is the only one that has no solution. A typical Greco-Latin square will have no repeats in rows or columns, but to make our task harder, Marcus introduced an extra condition with no repeats on the diagonals.
Well, I think that's equal on round 3. You both managed to find a way to lay out the plates and all the food. But overall, I think, Dara, you win this programme. Food math seems to be your speciality. So, Dara is the winner.
Enjoy the cheese and vegetables.
Wow, do I win all of the cheese? All of the cheese goes to me, and to a lesser extent the vegetables. At the end of all that, thanks to our rising stars, the students on our maths panel, for getting those answers and then getting every level beyond that. Well done to all of you. Yay! Very good. That's just a tiny round of applause. Thanks to our inscrutable question setter, Oxford Finance Professor Marcus du Sautoy, and thanks to our guests, of course, our guest comedians in mathematics, new best friends, Kevin and Peter. Thank you both very, very much. Superb performance. We will have more of these tricky problems another time on School of Hard Sums. Thank you very much.
Now time for your homework. Place 8 queens on a chessboard in such a way that they cannot capture each other. If you'd like to check your answer or just cheat, go to the website joindave.co.uk.